Alright, it is a beautiful Friday evening and I've got some install plans on my BMW. So tonight we are going to be installing a nice matte green engine cover to match the frozen Isle of Man green. And then we are also going to be installing the Downstar hardware in orange to tie the car together. Let's get started. There's also a nice cheat sheet that Downstar includes, and I'm going to go a step further and write down exactly what size you need to remove the stock bolt and then install the new bolt. So really, you can kind of skip my install and just look at this sheet and you pretty much have it down if you could just follow the numbers in order. But hey, maybe you want to give me a view. I'll give you some positive affirmations while you're doing your install. So let's continue. I'm going to start with the hardware and then finish it off with the engine cover. To go over some of the tools first that you're going to need for the install, you're going to need a T30 and a T40 Torx head, as well as a bit adapter to use those with a bit driver. You're also going to need a 7/16, half-inch, and 9/16 American size sockets. You're going to need metric 10, 13, and 15 sockets, as well as a socket wrench and an extension for those. And also a 10mm open-ended wrench would not hurt as well, because there is some tight-to-reach areas. You're also going to want, for the install of the new hardware, a 5, 6, and 8 hex key. So to start the bolts, we're going to start with the fender bolts, which on the sheet are right over here, and they are right on the side of the fender well. There's two of those, one on each side, and it needs a 10mm to remove. Get that. And it's going to be the top packet, so they come nice and separated. These are the fender bolts right here in green. Hex 5, and we'll get that installed. When installing, I'm going to start by hand so I don't have to worry about stripping. I'm using just a little power screwdriver so that way it's not high torque. Number 2 is going to be the fender braces. That is right above the headlight, it looks like, and we have 2 on each side. Those are coming off with a 10mm fender braces. Those are these guys right here. 1, 2. There's a piece that separates the frame of the engine bay to the fender, and that's what holds it together. So we're going to do that. Let's do them one at a time, just so we don't have to worry about losing anything. This is going to also be a hex 5. So heads up, you might need some smaller 1/4-inch size sockets just because some areas are hard to reach. Alright, let's try open-ended wrench and see how we do with this. So now number 3 is the expansion tank. So up top looks like we have 2 10mm that we got to pull off on the expansion tank. Let's go take a look at that. Yes, it's going to be these guys here. So that was expansion tank, which was 10mm on, hex 5 off. And then we've got the little strut sensor, number 4. I didn't even know about this until I started working on this install. So let's go check it out. That's going to be a 10mm to come off. It's a singular screw. It's going to be this guy right over here. All of these are packaged nice and in order, which is awesome. 10mm coming off, and then hex 5 for the install of the new one. Alright, moving right along, we are at number 5, which is going to be the front bumper. Front bumper is the 2 most closest to the front. They are going to be T30 to take off. So that's going to be these guys, the frontmost, which are right under this little lip, the frontmost screw, one on each side. I have to say, this is a really good little kit to do it yourself. It's actually a fun install, not very frustrating. Just take your time with it, and I'm sure the results are going to be great. Just using a little power screwdriver, like I said, takes some of the tension off your wrist from twisting all this stuff in, makes the job easier. I wouldn't do anything with some crazy power. I'm using a little impact to remove, just because I'm sure a lot of these are torqued down, and then just a light application to install. So now we've got the hood hooks, hood locking hooks. Those are actually going to be up top, on the top portion of the hood. That's T30 coming off. These are also Hex 5 going on. Two more on the other side. Next we have the headlights, 2 on each side. Those are going to be these bolts right here that are used to mount the whole headlight in place. Those are going to be T30 off, and let's see what they are to put on. If I had to guess, they'd be Hex 5. And they are Hex 5. So that was number 7, headlights, T30 off, Hex 5 on. Now we're going to move on to number 8, which is hood lock latches. Those are going to be T30 off. So the hood lock latch is going to be this whole mechanism right here. You have these 2 silver screws, not this one, this is something else. These 2 here facing forward, and then you have this dark one right here, and then this other black one right there. So it's 4. T30 to remove those. I'm going to do them one at a time so that way the mechanism does not disassemble in any way. Let's go to the other side. Now we are going to move on to number 9. So we are more than halfway through. There's 15 screw sets. We are on number 9. So now is the front radiator cover by bumper. So that's going to be actually under the black protective piece, and those are going to be T40 to take off. So let me grab my T40 and I'll show you where those are. So those are actually going to be underneath here, these 2 screws. So funny, you won't even see them, but at least this way we'll do them, because then everything in the engine bay is going to be hex. Alright, so to recap, 1 through 8 are going to be Hex 5 to put on, and then the front radiator cover number 9 is going to be Hex number 6 to put on. There we go. Nice. Wow, so some of these front radiator ones are really in there tight. If you're going to torque these down, start them by hand so you don't cross thread, but these should be torqued down a little bit more. And we'll probably never see those again. So we're going to move on to the strut bolt. That is the one that's in between the 2 strut braces on the engine. That's going to be a 7/16 socket to take off. So now these are star screws, so I'm sure that there is an actual star that you should be using for this, but I found that 7/16 American hex socket actually fits it just fine. It's this bolt right here, this star that's in between the strut bracing right here. And you can see it's a star head, but we are going to use a hex socket and it fits just fine. So that's a 7/16 off, and to put it on, we are going to use, it's going to be a Hex 6. This one was torqued in a little bit, so we'll use the low setting on our impact. Start on the other side, removing by hand. So that was number 10. Now we are on to number 11, the Radiator front support brace. So those are the iconic ones that are right across the front that you will notice the first thing when you open the hood. It's all of these guys, not this one, because this is a different one, but these 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I believe it's also these little one too. Those are going to be 1/2 inch coming off. Let's see, to put these guys on, they are going to be the same exact thing. They are going to be hex 6. We have those 2 little ones that are on the side. So those are, I believe, going to be T30 coming off. Let me confirm that. A lot of hardware on this table. I got to find my little T's. It's like, where's Waldo? Oh, I think it's in my pocket, actually. Nice. So these guys are going to be T30, and I'm assuming it's going to be hex 5 going on. Yep. So really, there's kind of 2 steps in this one. It's the main crossbar, and then you also have the little side ones from before that I said were not included. Now we're going to go on number 12, which is going to be the strut bar. So that is 8 of them, so that's the 4 on each side. So I actually think I'm going to skip that step and do it last, because I have to remove the strut bar to do the engine cover, and I want to see that all come together. So we're going to skip number 12. We're going to go to number 13, which is front brace. Those are those other star screws, and those are going to be what I found to be a 9/16 coming off. So it's hex 9/16. That's these star screws right over here. These guys are going to be pretty big. So these are hex 8 going on. Got 2 more on the other side. Good. So now we are up to number 14, front star bolt. That's the main one in the center of the show. So that, it's going to come off with a 1/2 inch socket. So those were 1/2 inch coming off, hex 8 going on. We are now on the grill V-brace, which is a little tricky because it's all the way down in there. See that little bolt? That is the grill V-brace. So you have to insert through here with an extension to get that bolt out. That is a 13 mil to take off. You go look, there's a little crease over here. That's where you want to look to make sure you're all lined up. You're not going to be able to get that angle on the camera, but you'll look right over here through this little crease and you can see that you've got it. So what's neat is that one has a much smaller washer, so make sure you don't get them mixed up. This washer is much thinner, so that way it fits under there. I mean, you will probably never see it or touch it after this day, but it's there, and it's going to be a hex 8 to install. Now we're going to start with the strut bar. We're going to do the one side first that doesn't have to come fully off. 15 millimeter to take them off. Yeah, probably should have kept all this in order. You could do better than me with that. These 4 bolts on here, 4 on each side, 2 per each strut bar. We're going to take off this full strut bar though in order to do that engine bay install. We have engine cover install. We have to remove that strut bar to remove the engine cover. So those are going to be 15mm coming off, but they're going to be 1/2 inch going on. And that is our last packet of hardware. Good. So now we're going to remove the entire cross strut across the top of the engine cover. And then this engine cover should just nicely lift off gently while watching that oil filler cover cap. There we go. Nice. A little dusty under there. Might dust that off quick. So I have to double check. I believe my new engine cover is going to have these grommets. If not, you have to transfer them over. You can go ahead and install the nice paint matched one. So this is actually an OEM BMW engine cover that's just been painted, ordered from IND Distribution, and this actually has the full rubber grommets, so I don't need to do anything about transferring. This guy will just fit right in so long as I line up where it needs to go. Then we will reinstall our strut bar. And then now we will install the rest of the matching hardware. So now the install is all complete. So the one thing I will add, so I believe a lot of these factory bolts, like especially the ones on the strut bars and on the supporting braces, those have torque specs. So you're supposed to torque them to a certain spec. Unfortunately, my torque wrench is out and I'm not going through all those calculations. So after you drive the car for a little bit, you're going to want to reopen the engine bay, get the hex head set out, and try and retighten these. Just make sure they're all still snug and nice and tight after driving the car and after some vibration. Other than that, the only thing left to do is enjoy the results. Thank you for watching.